My boyfriend wants to stay friends with an ex friends with benefit who still keeps hitting on him even though he said he is in a monogamous relationship. Should I ask him to stop seeing her? Some general background. My boyfriend, 27, and I, 23, am bi, have been going out for about a year now. We both have had some mental health struggles in the past and struggle with setting boundaries. My boyfriend is pretty emotional and impulsive while I'm more logical. English is hard, but overthinking, so sometimes it's hard to relate to each other, but we do our best to communicate. We have a close monogamous relationship and talked about this before we got together officially. Even though we both had casual sex before we started dating, mine were always one-night stand while he had friends with benefits, some of which he is still friends with today. I'm alright with most of them, but one still hits on him quite aggressively, and I'm quite hurt he still wants to stay friends with her. This morning we had a problem, not a fight per se, or even a disagreement, but as we both hate confrontation, it was still difficult. Like I said, he has a lot of friends he used to have casual sex with, and I generally don't have anything against this, as most of them accept that he is now in a monogamous relationship and respect that. However, there is this girl, let's call her Sarah, who just can't seem to get a point. Sarah has a thing for queer men. Right after we became official, she approached my boyfriend about a threesome with us, which he declined, saying we were monogamous. She accepted that, and when I met her, she seemed nice enough, so I figured she had just misunderstood the terms of our relationship. But then she started flirting with my boyfriend again over text. He declined again and told me about it as he didn't want to keep things from me, which I appreciated. I was kind of hurt by Sarah, though, as we had met and she had talked to me and still had no apparent qualms about going behind my back to try to get my boyfriend to cheat on me. But I figured, okay, whatever. But my boyfriend would never cheat, and he seemed just as annoyed as I was. But then she started hinting at a threesome again, and my boyfriend told me again after turning her down. Then she tried to get him to sign up on a fetish website and have a photo shoot with her. And at this point, I was getting really upset. More than everything about the fact that every time I thought, okay, that was pretty shitty of her, but at least we're rid of her now, right? At this point, my boyfriend deleted Snap as he figured she wouldn't approach him anymore if she wasn't sure the chats were deleted after viewing, and he told me he would block her on social media too if I wanted to, but he would rather just avoid her and not cause any drama, which I agreed to. So at this point, we had had several conversations about Sarah, and I had told him that I did not like the fact that she seemed to have no respect for our relationship. He always seemed to agree, and a lot of the time he would vent to me about Sarah being a shit friend in other ways, for instance, never inviting him to parties she held but always expecting she was invited to his, ghosting him, fetishizing queer men cause she's into yaoi, etc., etc. At first, I took this at face value, but now I think he was just shit-talking her to make me feel better. This morning, Sarah sent him a message inviting herself to a party we are planning on holding. And after realizing that he had no plans of telling her off, I decided we have to talk about it. He noticed something was up, but let me think through things before we had a chat. And at first, I thought the talk went as well as it could. I said that although I trusted him not to cheat on me, it still hurt me that he kept giving this woman chance after chance, even though she had already showed that she had no respect for our relationship, and that I didn't want to be a controlling, jealous boyfriend, as I knew his last ex was, but that I felt hurt by this, and like he was prioritizing friends who just wanted to fuck him or both of us over me. I also felt embarrassed as I had told my friends about it the past times Sarah had tried stuff with either him or both of us, and every time my friends were shocked that he hadn't cut her off yet, and I ended up making excuses for him even though I didn't understand why he hadn't cut her off either. He said he completely understood that I didn't feel comfortable with her coming and apologized for not seeing things from my point of view. He said that the reason he hadn't cut her off was because he was really bad at cutting people off and had a very low self-image. so he felt like he should just be grateful whenever someone wanted to hang out with him or be his friends regardless of their motives. There is also some past drama in their friend group which left him without a big social circle, but I won't go into detail on that as it isn't my story to tell nor relevant. It wasn't a fight by any means. I knew about his self-esteem issues before this and told him that I had figured that was part of the reason why he was so lenient with her, but that I still felt that I should be open about my feelings. He said that was completely okay, and then we hugged and we gave each other some space, but went for a walk together right before he left for work. That's kind of where the problem came up again. As he's a lot more emotional than I am, he got really affected by it, and I felt super guilty, so I ended up basically comforting him and saying we were all right and that I wasn't mad at him, and that I understood that setting boundaries is hard for him. But then right before he left, he said something along the lines of, "Sorry, I make you jealous." And ever since that, I've been overthinking whether or not I am jealous or if this is something I should press more on. His solution to the problem was basically, "Alright, then I'll just go for a walk with Sarah and another friend a few days before the party and make up some story about the party only being for family or something, then you won't have to see her." But I'm still upset. Like, my problem isn't just that I don't want to see her myself, it's how okay he is with seeing her despite her never changing this behavior. But I also don't want to be that toxic boyfriend who decides who he can and can't hang out with. I know that from an outside perspective, this might seem like a parade of red flags, or maybe I seem toxic and crazy, but this is obviously just my somewhat upset current perspective. I don't think he would ever actually cheat. He isn't a dishonest or scheming person at all. He is very open and easy to read, and I know he loves me a lot, that he would be absolutely crushed if we broke up. He is a wonderful boyfriend who makes surprise candlelit breakfasts and take care of me when I'm sick, and that is what makes me feel like it would be wrong of me if I were to ask him not to see her anymore. It's made more difficult by the combination that he gets easily affected by things, like he'll get super panicky and sad, while I feel guilty very easily. So then I'll just end up brushing it all aside to comfort him, and then we don't solve anything. I want this relationship to work and for both of us to be happy, but I just sit here with this lump in my chest, and it just grows bigger every time Sarah pulls a new stunt, and he just accepts it. Any advice or new perspective is welcome. I will see though that I wouldn't be comfortable opening the relationship, and he also has a bad experience with an open relationship and doesn't want to either. Too long didn't read. Boyfriend has a lot of friends he used to have casual sex with. One of them won't accept that he is now in a close monogamous relationship and keeps hitting on him for both of us. Despite saying he's had enough of her, now he keeps giving her second chances, and when I told him this morning, he apologized for making me feel jealous but intends to keep hanging out with her. He is a very emotional person and ended up being quite upset he'd hurt me. And I feel very guilty for bringing it up and wanting him to stop seeing her. Though I haven't told him about that last bit, he is generally a very loving boyfriend and seems even more invested in his relationship than I am. So I don't think he would cheat on me. But it still hurts me that he is alright with a friend of him constantly undermining our relationship, fetishizing us, and intends to stay friends. Should I tell him it hurts me that he keeps seeing her and ask him to stop? Or would that be toxic and controlling of me? Top comments. Here's a comment from Golden Flicker. You are completely 100% justified in all of this. You are not crazy. You are not jealous. You are being disrespected, and so he is. He needs to tell her off, or you need to tell her off. One of the two. And she needs to not be a friend anymore. She isn't actually a friend anyway, because real friends would not consistently try to push your boundaries and ask you to do things you are not comfortable with and don't want to do. I would be at the point of saying him that if he doesn't shut her down, her and her friendship, that you are going to do it for the both of you. And I think you should be present when he does it. If you don't decide to do it yourself, you'll need to approach this bitch as a united front. Here's a comment from Gas Powerful. You need to stop tolerating this kind of behavior completely. He is pushing your boundaries constantly. If you don't put your feet down, he will do this in all kinds of different things. You have to respect yourself. Explain to him that if this is how we resolve this kind of issues, we will have even bigger problems in the future. You have to be serious. If he breaks your boundaries and trust, you break off with him. That is the consequences. You let him off the hook too many times. Insecurity is not an excuse for this kind of behavior. It is a reason why many cheaters cheat. Your instincts are yelling to you, but you are giving him too much credit. Cheaters cheat because they put themselves in a position where they are able to do that. Here's a comment from Call Me Fig. In general, trying to avoid an undesirable outcome by controlling another person's actions will not solve anything, likely to even manifest in a worse way later on. He is either capable of learning in this present moment why this girl's actions are disrespectful towards him by threatening his relationship and crossing the boundaries set by him telling her he is in a monogamous relationship, and you, which would cause him to stand up for himself and his relationship, or he isn't. And it's time to ask yourself if you're willing to support him while trying to teach him this lesson over the course of your relationship. He is capable of learning this, as we all are. But everyone has their own pace and a different set of tools. The tricky part is finding a partner with a pace that matches your patience. Too long didn't read. If he's tempted to cheat, trying to prevent it by eliminating any and all opportunities for him to do so is never a long-term solution. The root issue needs to be addressed.